Hi, I'm back, and I'm not even going to get into explanation as to why I haven't made an episode since July, because it would just be too much. But just know, life happens. A lot has happened to me in the past couple months, lots of things going on, but now is a good time for me to jump right back in and, come right back to my baby. I'm not going to let this thing die. So, just going to jump right into it today. Enough of that. I'm going to talk about a scam, and that scam is for-profit colleges and universities. And before I get into all the reasons why for-profit colleges are predatory and evil and you should never go to them, I think it's important that I explain what it is and the difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit so there's no confusion. So I went to Washington State University, and my university is accredited, regionally accredited, big difference here, regionally accredited, nonprofit, and publicly owned, like any other state school, like University of Florida, any of the California state schools, like UC Berkeley, Cal State something, or you know what I mean. And even private universities like Harvard, Stanford, USC, or Baylor, all those are also nonprofit, even though they're private. And sometimes people think that nonprofit means there isn't any money to be made, and that's definitely not true at all, because everybody knows college costs money and colleges generate billions of dollars collectively every single year, right? The purpose of a nonprofit college is to provide students with an education in the hopes of getting a degree and, getting a job, blah, blah, blah. The purpose of a for-profit college is to make money for owners and shareholders by selling a product, and this product is an education, quote-unquote education. I'm using air quotes here. And examples of for-profit schools are those schools you always see in TV commercials like Everest University, the Art Institute, ITT Technical Institute, DeVry, University of Phoenix, and I can't forget Trump University, and so on. So if all colleges technically have to make money, and they do make money, why are for-profit colleges so bad? So schools like this mainly target very sensitive communities like low-income people, immigrants, minorities, people who dropped out of school, or maybe even lack any education past high school. And commercials like this sell the American dream of going to college, getting a degree, and then getting a great job afterwards with your degree using those great applicable skills. But a lot of people don't know that these commercials are really misleading, and most times a degree from one of these schools is basically useless, and it's not the same as a degree from a regionally accredited nonprofit university. The majority of revenue at for-profit colleges are spent in either marketing for the schools, like in those annoying TV commercials, or as profit for the shareholders. Very little of that money is poured back into the school and the students like at a nonprofit college. And yeah, okay, college in general is super expensive, and it's getting more expensive every single year. But that's another episode for another day. We're not going to get into that. And, although I paid a shit ton to go to college, and I have debt and all of that, I can at least say that I went to a huge, sprawling campus with so many buildings and libraries and state-of-the-art facilities. And honestly, I had a great education, and I learned so much, and I had so many tools and resources. And at for-profit colleges, these don't really exist. Usually it's like a random building in the middle of the city with like none of these things that I just mentioned, and none of those tools and resources that make these colleges so great. And a 2011 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research reported that students who attended for-profit schools are more likely to be unemployed, earn less, have higher debt levels, and are more likely to default on their student loans than similar students at nonprofit educational institutions. And sadly, oftentimes students who go to these schools are left with very little training, a mediocre education, a useless degree, and on top of that, a boatload of debt that's going to be almost impossible to pay back. And even if you graduated from one of these schools and wanted to transfer to a nonprofit like Washington State, like the school I went to, you'd find that none of your credits transfer because they don't have that regional accreditation. The situation's getting so bad right now that a bunch of lawsuits and federal investigations are popping up, and these schools are finally getting called out for being the scams that they are. As a matter of fact, if you or somebody you know attended ITT Tech between 2006 and 2016, you may qualify for ITT Tech student loan forgiveness benefits via either the closed school loan discharge program or the borrower's defense to repayment program. Also, if you attended a Corinthian college, and a Corinthian college is a school like Everest, WyoTech, or Heald College, on April 27, 2015, or withdrew from one of them after June 20th, 2014, you may also qualify for the student loan forgiveness. Also, just this past week, the University of Phoenix settled with the FTC and agreed to forgive all student loan debt to students enrolled between 2012 and 2016, meaning if you have any debt owed to the school itself, it will be canceled, but it's only during that time frame. But if you have private or federal loans, you can still apply for them to be forgiven via the closed school loan discharge program again, or the borrower's defense to repayment program. And to be honest, these options aren't super easy and they can be really time consuming and require evidence of these schools being outwardly misleading and misrepresenting themselves. And it might be a difficult process, but I honestly think it's worth it because they shouldn't be getting away with these scams. And if you paid all that money for a degree that's pretty much useless, then you should get your money back. Not saying this is a guarantee, but you can try and see what happens, but I think it's worth a shot. So in the end, the only advice I would give to someone interested in furthering their education that's thinking about one of these schools is hell no. Don't do it, sis. Do not do it. Do not go to one of these schools. I'm begging. A lot of community colleges are super flexible and offer online programs and night classes and things like that to make things easier for students, as well as being much lower in cost. Plus, the majority of times the credits are transferable to nonprofit universities. And also a lot of universities like Washington State or Duke or any of these other huge schools, they offer online classes and degrees as well. I wonder if you can hear that. My heating just turned on. I don't know why I just stopped. I was like really getting it right now, but that distracted me. But anyway, online classes, community college, just go that way. And so if you're watching one of these commercials and are thinking of going to a school like Everest, DeVry, University of Phoenix, do as much research as you can. And if you find out it's a for-profit scammy school, just say no. Don't do it, sis. Go to your local community college, take some online classes, do some night classes, take your time, do it at your own pace, but don't waste your money on going to these schools because it's honestly not worth it in the end. It's like basically, a good analogy here is like going to one of these for-profit colleges is like joining a pyramid scheme. Like a very, very small percentage of people actually make it out and like actually have a useful degree that they can use for a job and transfer, or like a pyramid scheme. Very little people make any money, if not at all, and actually lose money. And you lose money if you go to these colleges because you're usually going to be in a lot of student loan debt. But that is it for today. I'm done. I'm glad to get right back into the swing of things, and I'll be doing something sometime soon. Not going to give any promises because we see how that turned out in the past, but it's good to be back. Thank you. Subscribe, and also look in the description, and I have links to all those resources I was talking about for the student loan forgiveness. So definitely look into those and share them if you know somebody who went to one of those schools. So that could be super, super helpful to somebody. You never know. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.